Okay, hey everybody, welcome to our team call. I'm Michelle Stuchel, and I'm so excited that you're joining us. We have such a special, fantastic call tonight. We've got the amazing Sapphire Natalie Dolan with us, and she is such a gift to me and to our whole team and to our company. She is a Jesus-loving powerhouse that has raised up several jewels, and it won't be long before she's at the tippy top of the company. She's a dear friend to me, and you're going to learn and love her. A lot of you have heard her training that was recorded from Ruby Retreat, and so you're in for a treat. But before we get started and we dig in, it's the 28th of the month. And with that comes a lot of emotions. And some of you are really excited because things have gone really, really well. And some of you are not so excited. And I wanted to share this thought with you. Your points, hopefully you watched my live in the team page today. Your points are a snapshot of where you are today. It has no meaning or indication of where you're going to be. And I saw this. I'm going to share my screen quickly. And I just shared this with our gold coaching. Natalie, can you see my screen? Do you see that? Okay. I wanted to share this post that I saw. Natalie, I don't know. I need to send this to you. And who is this? Everybody knows who this is, right? This is Elon Musk, the world's most richest man in the world, right? Okay, look at this. This is his company in 2002. You see that? What? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 people. In 2022, 20 years later, he's the richest man on the planet. Okay. Amazon, 1994. See their sign? Spray painted. Amazon, 2022, they're everywhere globally, right? Apple in 1975, they started in the garage or the basement. Now look at them in 2022, right? Google, again, started in a garage, 1998. Google, they're probably listening now. Look at them now, taking over the world, right? Disney, 1923. And now they are global, and everybody knows Disney. Why do I share this? Because where you are right now is no indication of how you're going to finish. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. But if you keep doing the right things, if you believe, if you keep taking action, and if you do not give up, where could you be in 20 years? Where could you be in 10 years? Where could you be in 5 years? I'll take that legacy. I'll take half that. I'll take a tenth of that legacy, right? And that can be you if you just keep going. Okay, friends, enough about me. I wanted to light your fire a little bit, but now I'm so excited because Natalie is such a gift and you guys are in for such a treat. So Natalie, thank you for being with us and for sewing into our team. I so appreciate you, friend. Okay, so we're just going to kind of do this. No wonder I had the wrong thing pulled up. Interview style. Okay, so Natalie, tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are.
Okay, well, it's been quite a journey. I think something, I like to put up out front is that I am not one of those quick success stories. I've been with Plexus for 6.5 years. I started my business when I was 26 years old, which now looking, 6.5 years later, looking back on it, I was like, 26. I felt so grown, but now I'm like, wow, I just had so much growing to do and learning to do. And I don't regret starting small at all. And I think like what you were saying, I was thinking about that today. Like, I think a lot of times people are scared to start small and to be seen small. And, the whole, I had a lot of fear of man issues when I first started, like really very concerned about the opinions of other people. But once I had clarity around that, once I knew the truth, I just couldn't allow that to be my truth. Once I knew the truth, I didn't want that to continue to rule me. And so Like I said, 6.5 years ago, I started sharing, after a lot of prayer, and confirmation, because I was very vocal and adamant about, how I would never do this. How mortified I was when my friend asked me to do this, how I called my best friend, who is now an emerald on my team. I called her and I was like, you wouldn't believe who asked me to join her team. I was mortified. Like, I would never do that. But that girl opened, she's no longer with the business, but she opened that door for me. Even though I was mortified and was like, oh my gosh, no, I would never do that. The door was opened. And I think that's a really big key that we miss with people. We assume that, like, oh, this girl I can tell by her attitude, she just would never want to do this. And where we go wrong is we don't even open the door. And people can't walk through a door that's not opened. So that was a gift to me that she opened that door, because, I was like, no, but I'll be a good friend. And I started taking the probiotics. I was like, because I'm a supportive friend. I'm going to I'm going to order something from you. I was already a believer in supplements. I already had a cabinet full of supplements. And so I knew that I was missing a probiotic. So I started supporting her that way. And then I started having a lot of relief. And then I finally found it. I decided to get Triplex for myself as a Mother's Day gift, because I had been reading 4 different people's posts for a year and was like, you know what, I want to try this Triplex that they're talking about. I want to try it. I can't afford it, but I'm going to try it. So, after that, I just was having such great results that I couldn't not share it with people. It was like a conviction that I wouldn't share it with people. Although I already called my mom and told my best friend, behind the scenes, and anyways, prayed about it, got just so much in my face confirmation that somebody as stubborn as me would need to compromise my comfort where I was. God knows I'm so stubborn, and that it had to be like, it doesn't have to be like that for everyone else, but for me, I just had to be like that. So, a little bit about my journey. Took me 6 months to go gold, which I feel like people going gold in like 2 months now.
Right.
Excuse me. It took me 2 years to it took me 18 months to get to Ruby. Took me 2 years to get to senior Ruby. At which point I was senior Ruby for 2.4 years. Like, I was sitting at senior Ruby for 2.4 years. Like, that's a long time. And I feel like there's a lot of people who would be like, it's taking too long. This isn't fitting into my timeline. Gotta go. It's not working out for me, or it's not for me. And so I learned a lot in that 2 years, first of all. And then I hit Emerald in 4.5 years. It took me 4.5 years to get to Emerald, which the time is going to pass anyways. I feel I became the person that I needed to become in order to get there. So much work on just my belief in myself and things like that. And then 5.2 years to Sapphire. And I hit Sapphire this year, in February, which, now it's towards the end of the year. And this has been a really big learning year, a really big growth year for us too. We started our own team page this year, which was awesome for our team. So good for our team. And so if you guys are here on this team, and I would say definitely expect more growth now that you guys are, in this position. I know, just to see what it did for my team, how it just brought extra ownership and growth. And so that was it's been a really good year just for our team. I will say that I did go for Diamond this year and missed it. And that's a part of, I think I'll share about, some of my biggest lessons, but I have gone for big ranks like Emerald and Diamond and missed it and survived. I think sometimes it's a lot of people are like, what if I go for this and I fail? It'll just be so excruciating. But those are honestly some of the biggest gifts of my business. Going for it, failing, and then picking myself up, and the confidence that I got from but I kept going. But I dealt with whatever I had to deal with from that. But it's often our failures that are a much bigger gift than our triumphs, because we learn so much from that. So I would say, that's my journey to Sapphire.
Natalie is one of the people I respect the most in this company because she is so willing to share. And it really had, like, I've seen, like, Nat, you and I have known each other for quite a long time. And there's such a richness that I've seen in you, and just such wisdom and growth. And I mean, you're the second person I've had come speak to my team, I think. And you just, I want my team to hear from you because of the richness and the wisdom that God has poured in you and that you've allowed him to put in you. We're reading John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward, and that is a fabulous study. Highly recommend that for you and your team. So let's keep going. Tell me some of those biggest lessons that you've learned.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I'm an open book sometimes to a fault. I'm like, listen, I'm going to put it all out there. Sometimes where, at the end of the day, like you are going, through this whole journey, you are going to go through a lot of refining things. And I think it's, the refining is the main part of our business. But it's those things that I'm a big believer that this is so much more about your character than it is your timeline or your achievements. I don't think that God is like, yeah, I gotta get Natalie to diamond. I think it really is so much more like just pulling out the weeds and looking in the mirror and like, hey, where do I need to improve? Who do I need to become? That's always what I ask myself, because I think some of the biggest things that I've overcome is just learning how to get out of my own way, and deciding who I want to become. I talk about that a lot. It's about the becoming. So I had to change a lot of things about my own identity. I would say some of my biggest roadblocks have been me just really thinking I am not worthy, deserving, or capable of higher success. Like maybe I could get to gold, or maybe I could get, in my mind, like as I started, like, oh, I could get to this level. And then once I got, to whatever in my mind, I felt like, okay, this is my cap. I'm no longer capable or even worthy or deserving of like bigger success. And so I had to do a lot of work within my own worthiness to get past that and be able to show up as my best self. Yeah. So I had to I had to remind myself all the time. I was just talking to one of my leaders today about this exact issue. And I was like, I had to deal with this too. And I had to write, I am worthy, deserving, and capable of becoming a jewel. I had to write that on my whiteboard, and I had to look at it every day. And I had to read, like there's a verse in Colossians 1 about being worthy of our inheritance and all of that. And I read that. It's like Colossians 1. It's in Colossians 1. Anyways, like, what is it? Maybe I should have that memorized. But I had to read that every day to really see myself as someone, because I think we look up to all of our people, like I look to you and I'm like wow, like so much wisdom and so much class, and and we look at all of these jewels, and we put them on a pedestal, but they're just normal people, and I have to remind myself all the time because I know how normal I am. And so I think that I like to show that to people, because I always want people to see, I never want any of the hard stuff that I went through to be wasted, number one. And that's why I share it all. But I want people to look at me and say, she's a normal person who just learned the skills and decided to be committed. And so that level of, that was a part of my becoming. Like, I decided that I am a committed person. This year, my best friend told me, and I'd never heard anybody say this to me until this year, but she said, you are one of the most committed people I know. And I was like, guess I am pretty committed, like I didn't even know that. And so, but I think it's a big part of success, because I do look at Plexus like I don't know if this is extreme, but I look at it as like a marriage. It's like a commitment that I made. And just like in marriage, you don't get into a fight with your husband like, well, we fought twice this week, it's over. You're committed. You work through it, you grow, you do what you read the marriage books, you do whatever you need to do because you're committed. And I think a lot of people get into this and they don't have this resolve of their own commitment. And they have one foot in the door, one foot out the door. What if you were trying to make a marriage work with one foot in the door, one foot out the door? It would never work. It doesn't ever work unless you're committed, and that needs to be one of the character traits that you work to, embody at the end of the day. And I think getting clear on what does the Jewel Natalie look like? What are her character traits? Who do I need to become? And then that's your roadmap. That's where you go. You start reading, you're like, well, I want to have more. For 1 year, I had to, my whole theme of the whole entire year was discipline. And so the whole year, I just read stuff on discipline, podcasts on discipline. I focused on that main thing so that I would show up with more discipline. And that was a part of the becoming, Yeah. So yeah, I'm like I think really the character development has been some of my biggest lessons, some of the biggest things that I have overcome, in addition to, things like, I went for Emerald too before. I went for Emerald and missed it. Years ago, I think it was back in 2019, I went for Emerald and missed it. And that it took the wind out of me a little bit, and it was a hard season. And I started to, really go back, and not show up the way I should, or not show up the way I wanted to, just not being in a healthy place. And so, during, I've shared this before, but yeah, I went for it right before my husband deployed, and then he deployed, and it was just a really hard season of my life. And so during that season, like, my points went way back. I was almost Emerald, and then my points went way back to below Ruby, like just below Ruby. And so that was a far fall, but it was the wake up call that I needed in that season to say, hey, I've worked years into this. I've committed years to this. And, what am I going to, what am I going to sacrifice what am I going to have to give up if I give up, and so, I got really clear on all of that, all of my pain points, what I would be sacrificing if I quit on myself. And at the end of the day, I just didn't want to I shifted my focus so much away from proving to everyone else that I could do it, you know, because I think just the way, just my background, and no one ever expected really anything of me or anything like that. And so in the beginning, I wanted to, you know, show people I could be successful, and like, you know, I didn't, you know, whatever, I was a teen mom, and, you know, I didn't ruin my life, and you guys are going to see. And that wasn't really the best heart motivation. I had a shift, and a more empowering shift, when I was like, you know what? I just want to show me that I could do this. I just want to prove to myself. I don't want to give up on myself. I don't want to start this in my life where things get hard, I doubt myself, and I come into agreement with that. I didn't want to come into agreement with me not being good enough or capable enough or worthy or deserving. I just couldn't do that to myself. And so I shifted off of what other people thought, and just onto honoring a promise that I made to myself. And that was, I was going to show up with excellence, and to God, really, because this was where he called me. And so I want to honor him in the way that I show up with excellence. And, you know, so that's what I did. I forgave myself, and I failed forward really, really hard. And I came back from almost emerald down to like four, you know, upper 400 points, or like 480 or something. And, you know, I just decided, okay, I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to own my shortcomings. I'm going to go to my people, and I'm going to say, hey, I haven't been showing up, and I haven't been showing up for you. And here's what I want to do moving forward. I want to show up, and I want to help you and support you. And I hope that I can build your trust back. And that was super painful. All of that was very painful, but it didn't compare to the pain of what I would be giving up if I gave up. I'm like, when am I going to be able to go on all these vacations with my family? I'm not going to be able to do that. You know, I'm going to let down all these people on my team, all my customers, you know, I'm going to, you know, not be able to, I'm going to feel like I let myself down. I just didn't want that. So that pain was much greater. And so I was able to just start taking it a step at a time, and listening and praying daily for wisdom. I think you really, really do have to pray daily for wisdom, like, you know, and just like, okay, what's the next best step as a leader? And so, you know, we started leading into, I was like, I just need to, you know, lean into culture, you know, because John Maxwell said that culture eats strategy for lunch. So I'm going to lean into culture. And so I took that really seriously for a while. You know, it's like these little improvements, one after the next. Like you get that thing down, and then you go to the next. You know, it doesn't have to be this like frantic thing. So yeah, you know, and then I just got, you know, started doing a course, and just, you know, started coming back time after time, and really just letting go of the timeline. I think the timeline is what really messes up a lot of people. And thinking that, oh, I should, you know, I could have been like, oh, in my mind, I thought I would hit emerald in 2 years, but here I am 4 years. Why didn't I hit emerald yet? I just stopped letting the timeline dictate my peace and my effort and my attitude. And I just started really trusting the process. So yeah, I could keep going on all the,
yes, just go. Just go. That was like so many messages in one. You just go.
Okay, so I think I thought this was definitely a sign, because I saw you shared the quote that I have been like preaching all year. Like, I have said it so many times. I've been preaching this all year, and I was like, I can't believe you just shared this.
And I'd never seen that before.
Oh my gosh. I have like shared it. I've shared it like every time I see it, I share it. Like, I'm like, I want everybody to know. I the quote is, the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. And I think Yeah, like that is truly the Plexus life hack. Okay? Like you have to like surrender your timeline, and you have to learn to love the walk. You know, I think we hear enjoy the journey so much that it's like cliche, it's like in one ear and out the other. And so when I heard it that way, it just really connected with me, because if you just like, I love the walk. I have learned to really love the Plexus walk, with the beauty of becoming, the all that we get to learn, the books, you know, feeling inspired, growing all the time, you know, all the people that we get to impact, being creative, you know, and getting to write things, like getting to write posts that bless people. I mean, I love that. I have learned to love writing. I've learned to love being creative with my, you know, the way I market. I've learned to love all the relationships that we get to create online with people. I mean, it's really beautiful. And so if you can learn to just really love walking instead of loving the destination, like if at the end of the month you're like, I had a goal and I didn't hit the goal and I'm so mad and now I'm, you know, I mean, getting your goals is great, but I love the walk even better than the destination, because I think it's just, it's important. Who you become along the way is so important. It impacts everyone around you. It impacts your family, your all your relationships, your marriage. And I think that's one of the biggest blessings of what we get to do. And there's no cap on it. You get to keep on becoming your best self. You never arrive, but you get to just keep on enjoying that process. And so I think that shift, you know, if you can learn how to do that and really lean into it. And I think, you know, a lot of journaling and things like that, you know, gratitude journaling and writing down what you really love. I think getting really clear on all the things that you love about this is important, because otherwise you're just focused on, you know, hitting your next goal or getting the incentive or ranking up, which all of them are important. We all want to rank up and we all want to get those things, but that can't be the end all be all, because not every month is going to be your mountaintop month. We just got back from leadership excellence, me and a couple other jewels on my team, and which was so great. But one of the points they were saying is, you know, you can get to the mountaintop, but you're not supposed to live on the mountaintop. Nobody lives at the top of the mountain. You know, nobody has a home up there. They're not living there. They go to the top, they celebrate, wow, this was so awesome. And then, you know, go back down and learn more and do, you know, and then they go back up the mountain. But, you know, it's the journey isn't supposed to be on the mountaintop. It's a lot of it is learning what you need to learn, you know, in the valleys too, and on the journey up. So I thought that was such a good analogy.
I love that. I love that. Well, I love that you said, I was going to ask you another question based on that, and you kind of answered it a little bit, like how, because clearly you prioritized growth, like becoming means that you're growing. And, you know, the people that, like John Maxwell says, be growth oriented versus goal oriented, because when you're growth oriented, you're going to hit the goals, because it is all about that journey of becoming. So things like you talked about journaling and practicing gratitude, focusing on the aspects of your business that you love. You said that you read books, that you did a course. Tell us, what are the things that you did in this process of becoming to invest in yourself? Because I think a lot of people think, okay, I need to grow. Well, what does that look like practically?
Yeah. Yeah. I really, being someone who pursues personal growth does have to become a part of who you are. Like
Right.
it's a part of my character now. Like if you meet me and, hey, Natalie, what are you about? Like, I'm going to say, well, I love reading. I love growth. I'm really into, you know, going higher. And so it has to be a part of you. not something you work in. It's just something you naturally do, like brushing your teeth. Like if I'm sitting there curling my hair, I have a YouTube video on. If I am commuting, I'm probably listening to a podcast. It's just really immersed into how I live my life. But what I will say is some of the like you said, like to get myself, I'm always taking like an extra course. I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always on, I'll sit there and I'll think, what do I need right now? And, for years I would just go, okay. And I would search it in YouTube, Plexus and follow up, whatever it was. And I would get good, or Plexus and closing. And now I venture more to like the specific diamonds that I trust or jewels that I trust, where I'll go and like seek out their like YouTube pages and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that on top of, I've done a lot of work on habits. My favorite books are, and I'm like a super blue, fun, loving personality, but my favorite book is High Performance Habits. And I feel like it's not super fitting for my personality to say that, but it's my favorite book of all time because it transformed the way I showed the way I would show up in my life, because I was this, very spontaneous, free spirit, disorganized, not disciplined person before. And so I had to unlearn all of that as my identity. I was told all my life that I'm a free spirit. And so I was like, I'm just spontaneous. I couldn't do a schedule, or I don't know, I just lacked so much discipline. And so once I learned what it's like the six most important, or six top habits of the highest performers in the world, this whole study that was done on it. And it's a thick book, but it taught me so much about the most important habits that I need to focus on to be successful. And so, just things like getting clarity. That's my favorite high performance habit. I am always seeking clarity, and that needs to be, in every area of your life. But a lot of that is sitting down with a piece of paper and pen, and who do I want to become, and where do I see myself in 5 years, and what does my future self look like, and getting really clear, because if you're not clear, then you don't have direction, right? And you're just kind of going through the motions, and you don't have that clear vision, right? Excuse me. So yeah, that book and Atomic Habits really changed my life, because it's just really all about the habits, and I think when you can put your when you can put your like sense of accomplishment, not necessarily in your results, but in your habits, you become so much more empowered. So I taught myself early on that I was, I am a success when I'm consistently showing up. If I did my IPA today, man, I feel good. I had so much more joy in completing my IPA than getting a new sign. And I felt like I do think even still, like my best Plexus days are when I'm like on it and I've done all my IPA and then some. That is when I am on like cloud 9, even over getting a result, getting a join, stuff like that. Because I just feel like if I'm disciplined and I have good habits, then everything else follows. And I've really trusted that, that process, most of my business.
Well,
Yeah.
I absolutely love every bit of that. I've not read that book, High Performance Habits. I'm ordering it as soon as we get off the call. And we've gone over, and I could talk to you all day long, and I want my team to hear from you all day long, but I want to respect everybody's time, and especially yours, because You've just taken time out of your busy schedule with your amazing team to pour into us. I love, love, love that you have taken time to grow yourself, Natalie, and you have, and the definition of insanity is doing the same, expecting different results. And you've done the exact opposite because you have taken time to grow and to think. And I love that question, the two questions. Everyone, you're going to need to listen to this recording several times because there were so many truth bombs in the things that she said. But number one, who do I want to become? And then number two, what do I need right now? And ask yourself those questions and then learn and grow and do what you need to do to become that person. Because look, Elon Musk didn't start out as the richest man on the planet. And, I didn't start out as a sapphire. Natalie didn't start out as a sapphire. And it's not where we're finishing either. So Natalie, thank you so much. This was so rich. Like, I just feel like I ate this amazing, rich meal. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. You are a precious friend and so wise. Everybody needs to follow and watch what she's doing because she's a leader to emulate. If we all grew in one area like she has, your life would be so different. Your business would be so different. This was fantastic. Natalie, thank you, thank you, thank you. I respect you like crazy. Thank you for pouring into us, friend.
I wish you could feel how hot my cheeks are. I'm blushing. I'm like, whoa. Michelle, I just look up to you and respect you so much. And I think anybody on this team is insanely blessed. All of your leaders. I mean, you guys you're under such wise counsel and teaching, and that, like, what's cool is your blessing, like, everyone gets to be under your blessing, and that's incredible, and that's something to not take for granted. And I just really respect you and everything you do. Me and my team, we eat up. So I appreciate you, Michelle.
Thank you, Natalie. Love you, friend. Well, thanks everybody. I'm going to post this recording ASAP. Thanks again. Love you guys. Good night.